Hello, hey, travail du chanson, comment ça va ce soir? How's it going? I'm doing great. I'm actually very tired because it's Friday night, but it's still fine. Very excited for the weekend. Let's put it that way. And I want to chat FF7. I just want to talk FF7. This is what the stream is going to be like. Yes, I did. I loved it. I loved the rendition. I loved the performance. I did not recognize the song. I think John Ron told me what it, like, he tagged me and said what it was. I didn't check it out yet. But thank you so much for sending it over. I did not recognize it at first. I still don't think I know the song. But you play really well. How long have you been playing the piano? That was impressive. Goodness me, what happened yesterday? Wow, 30 years. Well, that explains it. That explains it. Amazing. That's great to hear. And you're already reaching chapter 40 plus in the novel or in the fanfic you're working on? That's crazy. Skills are rusty. Well, that was good, I would say. I wouldn't call that rusty. I've been learning the piano last, I don't know, 3-4 months. I've been trying to specifically learn in the piano so that I play 2 songs. Hollow from Remake and what was this the other one? From the Edge of Despair. So From the Edge of Despair is the song which plays when you find Cloud in Medial. And I was kind of trying to play it. And it's a really good one, by the way. So that's why I was kind of teaching myself 2 songs and lying to myself saying, okay, maybe these 2 songs will actually make me learn the piano for good. Turns out you can actually learn songs on the piano, but to translate that to be able to learn everything, I feel like I'm learning in a stupid way is what has been happening. What do you mean you have a short? Do you mean a story or a short like video, like the format on YouTube? A bit out of your vocal range. I did not notice, but that was well done, to be honest. Who else do we have here? I see quite a few people checking out the stream, but who do we have? Do we have people who are from circles that are not usually listening to the channel or tuning into the channel? Would love to do that. Would love to have some people who are like in completely opposite sides of the debate or of the discourse or whatever. Okay, it's the short on here for you, playing piano. Oh, okay. Playing No Promises to Keep on short as a short. Got it. Cool. Well, can you share it? You can share it on the Discord. By the way, if you guys want to check out the Discord, here it is. Wait, why are we saying starting soon? We're not saying starting soon. We've already started. What a total lack of professionalism. I don't even know if the Discord is going to be invoked. Oh, there you go. Thought it was not going to be. Right, well, this is just going to be very much a chance to sit down, discuss, reflect on our state as a fandom. Like how humble from me to set up something for us to reflect on our state as a fandom. But just the very unfortunate stuff that we keep coming back to whenever there are 2 sides that disagree. It seems like we just keep getting more and more and more divided. And not to say that one person is responsible or the other, or that myself, for example, I'm not responsible, but it's just sad, man, to see this kind of stuff. It's just sad. Like, you imagine the opportunity that we have to experience something like a remake. Like, imagine getting 3 freaking remakes, 3 games. Imagine that your favorite game of all time gets remade over 3 entries, which means that you have been playing it since 2020. It's not that just like a remake that pops up and then it's done and that's it. It's a remake that you have been playing for almost a decade by the time the 3rd game probably launches. Yet we are here every single day, arguing the same discourse, arguing the same debates, having the same hostility, having the same toxicity towards each other. Again, not saying I don't do that. It's very easy to get sucked into this kind of stuff, but it's just, I don't know. It's annoying. It's sad and annoying and just unfortunate. I don't know if whoever is listening knows what I'm talking about, because probably not everyone is even on Twitter or X. Maybe that's for the best, to be totally honest. But it's just, I don't know. I don't even have words anymore. You posted it on Discord. Thank you so much. Renaissance. I'm going to call you Renaissance from time to time. Just so that I sound kind of deep, because I know the other pseudonym. What is it in English? Pseudo. Which not everyone might know. But yeah. Just trying to sound smart. Renaissance elf. There you go. I actually want to watch an interview that I have been putting off for so long. A remake, or was it a rebirth interview? Which I find very interesting. I would love to watch it actually here. And I've got assuming my PS5 comes through fine, because that's what I'm going to be using to show the video, and hopefully the video is going to come through fine too. So let's check it out. Okay. FF7 Rebirth developer interview. It's a really old one, to be honest. It's not the Naoki Hamaguchi ones. It's one with Nojima, Nomura, Uematsu. Who else was it? Uematsu. What? Limha? Rowan. Yeah, I understand. I'm also streaming very late today. Totally fine. Hope to see you there tomorrow for the Saturday stream. We have a very, very interesting one. But thank you so much for popping in and saying hello. Wishing you a good night. There you go. This is the one. But before that, I want to make sure that my sound is coming through fine. Which means I need to monitor my sound. Okay. Okay, what about now? Hopefully it is coming through fine. Yeah, it is. Right. And the audio input capture also on output. Okay. Hey, materia hunter. Are you looking for some materia? Nah, that was not funny. What do I need to mute? Yeah, I need to stop monitoring myself because I can't listen to myself at the same time. That you are. Was this too loud? I feel like this is too loud. So that is Nobuo Uematsu, Kazuchige Nojima, and Tetsuya Nomura. It is. Maybe not. But great to see you. Thank you so much for joining in. It's pretty late in the day. It's just a very chill chat that started with a bit of a mini rant. I tried not to go too far, not to do too much, because we still wanted it to be positive. But with everything that's been happening in the fandom since yesterday or a couple of days ago, it's very difficult to just be positive about the state of things. It's not really serious. It's literally freaking video games, but that was kind of a mini rant of the state of the fandom on X specifically. Yeah, and sometimes good rants are very, very useful. C'est la vie. Exactly.
はですね、ファイナルファンタジー5から参加したんですね。すごく
Yeah, people take things way too seriously for a video game. It's especially when you're talking about, so I'm gonna try not to be too too cliche or to go too much into stereotypes. But if you're gonna tell me that you have teenagers, for example, or 13-year-olds who somehow have access to online video games, which I think should not be the case, but anyways, and who are arguing on I'm not familiar with Roblox or whatever, but maybe like that. I'm not gonna say you can understand it, but you're like, okay, there is definitely more understanding than two adults, full-grown adults with kids, probably, because that's probably the core target of FF7 Remake. Arguing over, is it a sequel, is it a remake? Is Clarith canon? Is Claudie canon? Listen, I sit here and rant, and I'm kind of guilty of that myself, and it's very difficult to detach yourself and say I'm not going to do it anymore, but I don't know. It's just, I just feel kind of disappointed because we really are missing out on enjoying this remake with each other rather than just fighting. Sometimes I imagine some friends of us teleported to Paris in 1910. In Paris on a cafe on a sunny day near Notre Dame, enjoying a croissant cafe. You know what? I would love to teleport just to any kind of European cafe and then just enjoy that. Yeah, just having a good conversation. Or how it started? How Final Fantasy started for me, for example, is just sitting down with your cousins or with your friends or with your siblings. I don't have siblings, but obviously a lot of people do that and play together at home. And just, there is one controller, there is one game, everyone is playing one game, there is one save. I don't know if I can explain. Can we explain this to people who are getting introduced to video games today? Can you explain to them that we used to play with literally one save? Everyone is playing the same save, not because the memory card is too small or whatever, because the size is there isn't enough size, and there is enough size for more than one save. But because you want to enjoy the story when you enjoy it with someone, it becomes much bigger. It's different, It's very much a social, an opportunity for socializing and bonding over something, especially when you're a kid and you're just discovering life and you're discovering great things in life, like video games. And look at what's going on here. Look at the opportunity we have to play games together all freaking day from all over the world, which probably 8-year-old ourselves or 7-year-old versions of ourselves would rave about. Yet this is what it leads to. Hello, Xillat51. It's great to see you again. Thank you for joining in so late. Legend of Zelda, yeah. Actually, Legend of Zelda is kind of, I'm not going to say painful for me, but I'm going to talk about it. It's something we love, so it's understandable people get passionate. I agree, Materia Hunter. It's just that you can get passionate about something without necessarily making it personal. It's very easy to go after people on social media. That reminds me of The Legend of Zelda. So on The Legend of Zelda, unfortunately, the person that my cousin who introduced me to Zelda to begin with, when I was 10 or 9 or whatever, and I had already played Final Fantasy VIII, but I wasn't really familiar with Nintendo. When you're a kid, you're just one of the two, right? It's very unlikely that you have a PS1 and an N64 at home, especially in the part of the world where I was living, where I grew up. And he introduced me to Zelda. Unfortunately, he passed away. Was it 5 years ago or 6 years ago? He had MS, and strength and prayers to everyone who has that, because it's no joke. Unfortunately, we lost him, and it always stayed with me. The fact that all the memories I had with him when I was a kid, he showed me Nintendo, he showed me Zelda, he actually brought me back to Final Fantasy, because I started 8, but I was never able to finish it because I was still a kid. When you're 7 or 8, Final Fantasy 8 can be very difficult, right? And he kind of encouraged me, and he was 10 years older, or like 8 years older than me. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's all right. It's been a while, and unfortunately we didn't stay in touch a lot during the last 5 or 6 years of his life anyways, right? So you do sometimes have regrets of not being able to see the person as much, and regret not taking the opportunity while they were still here. But what can you do? And so Legend of Zelda always stays with me for that. Yeah, secrets in game. I'm having some trouble scrolling through the chat. I'm sorry, guys, because my mouse is not helping, but I'm going to use it on my phone instead. Yeah, fandoms have been arguing since, but I don't know if it's worse in Final Fantasy VII. It's possible, but the problem with Final Fantasy VII is that it's multi-dimensional. You have shipping, you have remake versus sequel. Within those who believe it's a remake, you have completely different camps. You have all sorts of variations, and I feel like that's kind of the problem. Yeah. Allah يبارك فيك, Zelat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bamsha Makbas is what we say. I have my ships, but I'm not going to speak to anyone else for not agreeing with me. To attack anyone else. Yeah, that's exactly it. And, whatever. It's a never-ending topic. So let's get back to our interview. I really want to watch this. It's a 42-minute one, so it's kind of interesting, because I love when I see them talk directly. Like, reading them on interviews is one thing, but when you see their mannerisms, I feel like it's just a different level. Listen to what Uematsu is saying about Nomura.
哲君はですね、ファイナルファンタジー5から参加したんですね。
Yeah.
すごくかっこいいモンスターを描くっていう印象が僕はあって、で6の打ち上げで坂口さんがこう一番前に行って6皆さんお疲れ様でした乾杯って言って始まってしばらくしてからなんか僕のところに来てねもっと金が欲しいって言って
That is so Nomura.
そこまですごくなんちゅうの
Yeah, I agree with you, Hunter. It's not even whether who you like or don't like. I feel like it's just what the story is, right? The story is one person unfortunately dies and has thematic implications, and the other one stays and has a different role to play in life, in her own life, and in the life of the person she knew since she was a kid. Since they were kids, both of them. So it's not one or the other. Like, you can also like different people in different ways at the same time. And it doesn't necessarily have to all be romance. You don't necessarily have to be in love with multiple people at the same time to just care for them or care about them, right? You can have all sorts, like, humans are so complicated. We're so complex. Our emotions are so complex. You can't reduce life to, do you prefer Tifa or do you prefer Aerith? Right? Especially when you have something like Cloud he literally has a Zack that lives inside of him, right? Be it spiritually or symbolically or or even literally, he has a version of his personality within him. We know that. And so, given the past that Zack and Aerith have, it's fine to say that maybe a part of it is connected to that, and it doesn't make it any less than a great relationship that they have with each other. They need to give us a full-on remake of Before Crisis. That is the only part of the compilation that is not really available, with the exception of the online version of Dirge of Cerberus. Yeah, the one you spoke about the other day. I think they will. I don't know where I remember seeing this, but I think they will. I remember hearing rumors about Before Crisis. Not very serious rumors, but I remember hearing something. I don't know if it was part of potentially Ever Crisis. Exactly. The story is about, and no, it's not Xilad. It's it hasn't been included yet, assuming it will in the future. Yeah, it's beyond dating options, and I feel like people don't like to, let me tell you guys, there is one thing. So if you were to label people within the fandom, which I don't like to do, but if you were to label people within the fandom as sequelists, or those who think it's a remake, or shippers, or whatever, if I was to label myself, I would label myself as someone who can fight literally anyone in the fandom about the fact that the Final Fantasy VII story is about Cloud. Thank you so much, Materia Hunter. Exactly. Like, this is the one hill I will die on when it comes to Final Fantasy VII. And my challenge is that this seems to annoy, or to... Yeah, it seems to annoy not only people who have certain headcanons, or who go and take the conversations in certain directions in terms of they want to talk about relationships and Claudies and Clarets and so on, with all respect to what they do, because I said the other day I can't comprehend it, and maybe someone from them can't comprehend why we sit here and talk about theories all day. It's just people like to do different things. But you will also hear the same kind of annoyance from people who think this story should amount to something bigger than Advent Children, because Advent Children is not good, for example. Like, both sides seem to not like the idea of boiling the whole story down to just Cloud's identity. And this is what I really like. It really annoys me. Like, this is one of the things that I get very aggressive, and I'm not going to say aggressive, but very passionate about. And Nojima says it himself. I'm pretty sure he's not going to say it in this interview, but he says that you can find a story about a group of friends going and saving the world in literally everywhere. You can find that. There are countless stories like that. And there are countless stories that talk about, serious things like mental health and like identity crisis. And for me, it's about finding yourself in your place in the world, if you were to take the symbolism from the story, right? And the message maybe that is being sent. But the identity of one person is a very special, very, very special theme to explore. And when you bring down the whole story to what it means for Cloud's arc, I feel like it takes on much more meaning, not less. Whereas people seem to understand it as it actually is just about Cloud now. So it's disappointing. How can the story be just about Cloud? This is why people don't like the idea, even though it's a caricature of what the idea is, that a lot of the Dreamworld stuff, for example, could boil down to Cloud's unconscious and his journey to finding himself. Not that it's all a dream. That's not what people are saying, or not myself is saying. But this is why people don't like it, is because when you confront them with this idea that, hey, maybe the dream worlds are actually about Cloud finding his true self, they're like, no, well, that would be underwhelming. We already know Cloud has an identity crisis, and we already know Of course you already know. But people who didn't play the game do not know. And this remake has been marketed for those who played it and those who did not play the OG. It has been marketed for both groups alike. So if the counter argument is going to be that, well, we already know the story of Cloud, it means that we're setting our expectations for something new, and we're setting ourselves for disappointment. Yeah, huge fan of Cloud. I'm the same, because his journey is just amazing. Yes, not the switch, but his growth through the journey. And you know what? We already see that growth before we even get to part 3. We already see it in Remake and Rebirth. I would argue you see it a lot in Remake, actually, because he starts caring about Avalanche. He starts with Aerith listen, I have my issues with the characterization of Aerith. But eventually he feels a kind of sense of duty. When she's taken to the Shinra building, he's insistent on the fact that he wants to go and help her and save her. He says, I feel like she's calling out to me, I can feel it, or whatever, something like that. So we already see that growth, and that is a very powerful, like, why do we want a bigger story than this? That's already a good enough story. Come on. Does it have to be anything much bigger? Do we have to really get rid of Jenova? Is FF7 about getting rid of Jenova? FF7 has never been about getting rid of Jenova. FF7 has been about humanity getting completely detached from its relationship with the planet, with nature, with spirituality, and learning to reconnect and rekindle that connection. It has been about humans learning how to live along with the planet and with Mako, right? And not necessarily drain it. It has been about trying to preserve the Cetra, for example, as much as possible. It has been about Aerith trying to preserve human life, despite Sephiroth thinking that, well, just because the planet will one day die, then we need to sacrifice all the lives within it. This is why she says he only cares about the planet and himself. He doesn't care about the lives within the planet. But what makes the planet special to begin with? It's the lives within it. So it's about preserving and reconnecting, and it goes inevitably through dealing with hardships, and Jenova being there is just something that Final Fantasy VII has had. And if 500 years into the future you still see at least Red 13 having kids with his cops running there, then isn't that evidence enough that Jenova's shenanigans were not enough to kill off everyone on Gaia? I feel like that's how I feel about it. Let me catch up, guys. Everyone should experience the total compilation, then talk about it with all the knowledge in the novels. I agree. Unfortunately, I am guilty of not knowing everything in the compilation, but I probably should learn a bit more. Once you open it up to all of that, it goes beyond Cloud. It's Tifa, Aerith. Listen, if you're talking about the compilation, yes, but I'm talking about the core FF7 story, right? Yes, he has a mate named Dene. I'm aware of that one, yeah. And I don't remember exactly where she is now, but I do remember that they knew each other when they were kids, right? That's the picture that we find in Cosmo Canyon. Yeah. Believing that Glenn is Cloud father. What do you guys think about this? Here's a wild theory. I think that Glenn there is a teeny tiny chance that Glenn could be actually Cloud in the future, or someone who looks like Cloud in the future. It's an incredibly far-fetched idea, which I'm even myself am saying now, and I'm kind of always, I'm just half serious when I say it. But I think that it's possible that Glenn is the vessel that Sephiroth uses to show Cloud his past. It is 50 or like 45-year-old Cloud, just in appearance at the very least. It's a completely wild idea, which I have 99% confidence is not gonna happen, but yeah, they do look alike a lot. You know what gives it away for me? Not that they are related, but what really still keeps me interested in the connection is the hair pattern. Is that what we call it? Yeah. Anyways, let me continue the interview.
自分の気持ち、感情をあらわにするタイプなんだと思って、結構おとなしい、ぱっと見おとなしかったんですよ、それまで。
He was still young then, I imagine, Nomura.
おとなしさを考えると、今ね、もうトップで FF シリーズのトップでやってるっていうのはすごいな。やっぱりでも感情を
become pretty outspoken, hasn't he?
彼の要素の一つだったんでしょうね。
全然覚えてないです。
I love Uematsu, man. I love Uematsu.
ただ金が当時全然なかったのは覚えてる。で上松さん家に遊びに行ったことがあって、みんなで。
Yeah, Uematsu had already done a lot of games by then.
すごいいい家住んでると思ってびっくりして。
He was already successful.
でもそれに比べて俺はどうなんだこのなんか学生の一人暮らしみたいな家はと思って。
まあまだでも若かったですしね。僕の方が随分先輩でしたからね。野島君はですね、 一番最
So Nojima's first title was FF7.
初の仕事は多分
What is he saying?
僕の方がずっと
Guys,
先輩
imagine the genius of Kazuchige Nojima. Imagine your first story with Final Fantasy being 7. Isn't that insane? This guy is insane. This guy is not human. It's insane. So much respect for him. The first story he pulled off with Final Fantasy was 7? Now that I think about it, yeah, I don't remember him from anything before. Ever Crisis has went very far to keep Genesis' existence secret beyond Crisis Core. I have a feeling we may get a Genesis reveal soon. Do you mean as part of Part 3? I think we've spoken about it. I do expect it maybe as a... Like, if we have another episode of The First Soldier, I could see it. Because, listen, episode 1 of The First Soldier explores Sephiroth's relationship with Glenn and Matt and Lucia. Episode 2 explores his relationship with Angeal a lot. I think it would make total sense that episode 3 explores his relationship with Genesis. Because, you know, they seemed to have... He seemed to have almost as strong of a relationship with Angeal as he did with Genesis in Crisis Core, didn't he? Yeah, it's probably just something very, very... much more of an Easter egg, as you say, yeah. Or, you know, just something to mess with us. Because I feel like they're leaning on it too.
でしたからね。野島君はですね、一番最初
Yeah, he's trying to call Genesis, yeah, right before they desert.
一緒にさせてもらったのはセブンだと思うんだけど。
Yeah, I feel like he could be one of the VR fights, I believe.
ロックが好き、プロレスが好きっていうことで。
He likes rock music and pro wrestling. Well, we are too, Kazuchika Nojima-san, because I also like metal music.
だから他にもロックとかプロレスとか好きなやつらが何人か机にいましたんで、よく某居酒屋さんとか飲んでましたね。ずっと本当にロックとプロレスの話ばっかりして飲んでた。
もうセブンから。
セブンですね。でもセブンがあっても多分お互いのサーバーにアップしてるものでしかあんまり交流がないような気が。
Now, I believe with Nojima, he then went into an external company, right? He's working with Square through his own company, I believe, or a company that he works with. I mean, the Dirge crew is due for a return due to the intermission cliffhanger. I don't know if they wrap it up, you know, in Remake. I think they reference it in the Assault on Midgar, for example, the raid on Midgar. But I don't think they wrap it up altogether. I think you get to see possibly Yuffie. I think what you will see is that Yuffie will try to settle things with Nero, but something will happen and she will not be able to. And then maybe they remake Dirge of Cerberus and they kind of find a way to make it consistent. I think that's what they will do. But altogether, wrapping it up, I think that would be a bit too much, a bit too far, because it means that Dirge of Cerberus becomes obsolete, right? Pro wrestling in the early 2000s. I was never into that. I was never into pro wrestling, but I know that it has a pretty big following. Yeah, I think that they might not have space in a sense. I think they might not have space, but it will be quite a lot to add that, right? Just remember how much content they already have to cover, right? Yeah, it's probably going to be DLC. I think that makes sense. Yeah, makes the most sense.
なんか怖いイメージがあって。
I thought you were kind of scared. Why is everyone scared of Nomura?
スクエア社員の名簿、スクエアタイムズ。
スクエアタイムズ。
っていうので写真の載ってて、テツさんのところが年が変わっても写真も何もコメントも変わってなくて、いつもお腹が痛いって書いてあって、でもう何の情報もくれない人が。
It's true that Nomura's personality, from what we see in media, is kind of interesting in that sense too. Yeah, you get the feeling that he's very outspoken, but at the same time, yeah, it's exactly what Nojima and Uematsu are saying. If they really wanted to, they could have enough leftover stuff for a sequel to the trilogy. I fully agree. You know, one of my biggest theories going into Rebirth, before I played Rebirth, was that they were setting up a proper sequel. As in, they will finish the trilogy and all the threads they've been put in will amount to something like a big cliffhanger of, I don't know, some 20 years in the future, 50 years in the future, or something like that. And they tell us, okay, this is the purpose of all of that. Now you need to wait for the fourth game, which is technically not part of the trilogy, but also it wraps up the story in the trilogy, right? And for me, it just makes sense because they need to, now that they've built all these assets and figured out the combat and all this kind of stuff, they will need to keep the FF7. They will want to keep the FF7 universe going in some form. But once I finished Rebirth, I was like, maybe not. Yeah, Materia Hunter. I agree. I was kind of almost getting to that because I don't think anymore. I don't feel that way about it anymore. Yeah, so I think this team is done, but I don't think they're done with the compilation though. Because listen, you can easily remake Dirge of Cerberus, right? Easily. I mean, it will probably have a target. It will probably have the exact same target that played Crisis Core. They are getting old, but you could have another team remake Dirge of Cerberus. You could probably have versions of Before Crisis, for example, in Ever Crisis, or something similar to that, right? And you could keep trying to port all of the stuff that we saw in the first Soldier as a standalone game. Imagine you make that in consoles. I think it would find it would be quite successful. I think it would work out pretty well for them. Now we do need a mainline Final Fantasy 17. Yes, I think they might have been doing a Vincent DLC is what I felt. Hey Roland, how's it going? Please, I haven't played FF13 and I know people hate on it and I feel like I will love it. But they still don't want to port it to the PS5. Been waiting for them to do so. And it's going to be an instant hit. I don't know why they haven't done it. I don't think it's technical limitations. I'm doing great, thank you so much. I just have a bit of a foot injury, but it's getting better. I don't know if I needed to share that much information, but hey Nick, what's up? How's it going? Hold on, let me catch up on chat on my phone again because I can't see the screen. First Soldier would need 4 full episodes, 3 for Genesis and 4 for Zaxxas. They were 4 First Soldiers. Yes, but I feel that the game is set afoot. I feel that Crisis Core already gives you a bit of a relationship, a glance into the relationship of Sephiroth and Zack, which was not a big relationship to begin with, right? So if you do episode 4, does it essentially end up being Crisis Core? Because before the events of Crisis Core, was Zack even familiar with Sephiroth? I don't think they knew each other in that way, right? After Rebirth, yeah. If they want money, their best sequel would be Queen's Blood Online. That is easy money. That is easy money. This remake project was because the old guys felt like they had something to add to FF7. Yeah, but do you feel that with the direction Square is taking now, I don't see them backing down. Like, I can tell you what my personal preference, as you guys might have guessed from the name of the channel, my initial favorite FF was Final Fantasy VIII. So my biggest wish is that we get a remake for 8, like a proper remake, a modern remake. I don't want 3 games necessarily, or this whole meta narrative to be included, because now anyways you've done it once with FF7, so doing it another time is going to be very tricky. You can't really surprise people in the same way. Although with 8 there are definitely things that could have made the time travel and theories work better, obviously because of how the world was built there to begin with, and how time travel is a big part of the story. but I don't believe that we need something like that for 8. I just need a full game that has obviously modern graphics, that where the cutscenes are, redone, where there is a rewrite in terms of dialogue and whatnot to obviously adapt a few things, and just the revamp of the battle system. That is all. So I wouldn't necessarily need, a big remake. But I feel like they will go with 7 again. Not to remake 7, obviously. I feel like they will keep expanding on the universe of 7 rather than want to go back to 8 and remake it. I feel like if they were given the opportunity to make 2 or 3 games within the universe of 7 versus remake like 8 or even maybe 9, I feel like they would always pick 7 because they know that marketing it and selling it's going to be much easier. Much to the unfortunate or to the unhappiness of us who love 8 more than 7, for example. No, because this would be the story of Zack joining Shinra and then becoming a 3rd-class soldier. In Crisis Core, Zack was already a 2nd-class soldier. Yes, but the first soldier is about the first soldier, who is Sephiroth, you see what I mean? So I doubt that they would make the story about Zack. But maybe a Crisis Core prequel could work. Sorry guys, the cat is playing with stuff right next to where my daughter is sleeping and she's gonna wake her up, so I gotta stop this right away. All right, that was that. That needed to be done. Sorry for the... Her name is Chili and she plays a lot, obviously, during the night. I'm sorry, but I can't have you waking up the little one. After I played Remake and then Rebirth again while doing only main quest, I can say I prefer the Remake story and pace, and I agree. I think that Rebirth had the tough job of setting up a lot of stuff in terms of the world, what it is, what the towns are, and so I feel like it had to present a lot of towns and to set up arcs of, for example, the backstory of Barrett or the backstory of Nanaki and so on. And so I feel like this is why it had the unfortunate task of doing this, and so it could not advance the story more, because imagine if along with all of this they also had to advance the big story. Like, that would be a huge game, Yeah, I don't know about a prequel of Crisis Core, but that's what I would consider a story where Zack joins Shinra, you see what I mean? But I don't know about the interest in it. Yeah. My only issue with it is that they are marketing the first soldier as definitely Sephiroth's story, right? And making it 3 games or 3 episodes, I think would make a lot of sense. This is assuming they even have something for episode 3. Now look at what she's doing now. It's the first time she's able to jump there. Let me know, Roland, what is it? Because I am here for the crazy midnight theory crafting. Yeah. I think with Zack, so they could show something like what they show with Angeal and Genesis, for example, in Crisis Core with their parents. I think they lean a lot into that, but they don't lean as much into that for Zack's story, right? So that could be a possibility, but is the interest there? It's the question that I always have to come back to. Is the interest there? Yes, okay. Let me know, Roland. I'm here for the midnight crazy theory crafting. I agree that the important material to the story are there. Clear, white, and black. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, do Genesis. I totally agree. Yeah. Hello from Bonnie, Scotland. Blue Jay 196. Great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, this cat is gonna drive me crazy. What is she doing now? Can you go down? Can you like stop? She's playing with everything. Must have been a big annoying bump. Oh. She does not stop. Tintin et Milou. I used to read that a lot when I was a kid. Like a lot. I'm still waiting for Roland's bombshell reveal. Let me play a couple of minutes while we wait for that.
まだ人数そこまでじゃない頃にこう手作りの社員名簿みたいなのがあったんで、そうだけどもだんだん大喜利化してましたよね。ふざけるのが当たり前みたいになってきて。そうね。
そのコメントのふざけ具合で古い人
Oh, the material are mentioned. Okay, that's what you meant. Okay, let me think about it. I totally agree that they will be key to the end of the game. Xilad, are you here for the video? Sorry, we've been keeping you waiting. Oh my god. Can you let me know what the lyrics are, Roland? I just don't want to stop oh, you're saying no, please. I just don't want to stop the video so that people who want to watch the video. His VA is a time traveler in Kingdom Hearts. Who is it? Did Tantan die or did Haddock get it there inside to save him? What are you talking about, Xilad? Whose voice actor is a time traveler in Kingdom Hearts? Is it Zack? Whichever you prefer, Roland, I don't mind. You can put the whole lyrics and then you could let us know what the part with the materia that you think is.
この人
古い人はふざけた。
ふざけてる。あ、本当。ふざけてるか全く更新してない。
ああ、なるほどね。で、鉄は更新してなかった。
多分。
でもそのお腹が痛いもふざけてるんで、そんなことわざわざね、ずっと痛いわけねえだろ。
My stomach hurts.
今年も痛いんだ。
そうね。だから多分書くことなかったんだと思う。僕はもう安心感。お二人は。
Oh, wow.
やっぱり世界中からこうナノファンからこう信頼も受けてる
I can vouch for that,
通り、な
Nomura-san.
んかお願いして心配だなって思うことはないんですよね。絶対ファンが求めてるものを提供してくれるって思ってるんで。
Does not necessarily mean multiple endings, by the way, yeah?
多分普段あんまり面白くないとそんなに絡まないかもしれない。
鉄さんはいろいろ、まあ、当然のことながらいろいろこだわりがある方だとは思ってるんですけど。
You know what? I will still wait for Roland's ideas, but Materia Hunter, I think I agree with you. So let me tell you guys how I understand the clear materia and the black materia. Shine bright once more, guide me to you, smile bright once more, this time I'll never let you go. So that's the chorus, obviously. With your every smile, hiding something more, dark mysteries lurking beneath, but I was consumed with this emptiness, this selfishness, this void to fill. Hear me once more, show me your smile. This time for sure I'll see the truth hidden inside your tears. So, shine bright is probably the white materia is what you're referring to. Smile bright once more. And so on and so forth. Dark mysteries lurking beneath is probably what you refer to when talking about the black materia, right? And hollow is just essentially the title of the song, and well, the meaning behind the song is hollow, so it could be adjacent to the hollow materia. I can agree with that. There is an emphasis of smiling by Sephiroth in Rebirth. What do you mean there is an emphasis of smiling, as in he does it a lot? Well, I do feel that. So, if we were to watch a video here, by the way, from Uematsu as well, he says that what he was imagining when making Hollow is someone standing in the rain who has lost something very important, right? And it's very clearly about Cloud, right? Like, we know that. And I know people think it's about Aerith, people think it's about Tifa, people think it's about Zack and Aerith and Tifa and whatever. I personally thought that it was more about Zack. But the more time went, the more I actually reconsidered that. And I still think there is a connection to Zack, but I feel that it's more about Cloud losing himself rather than losing Zack. Because losing Zack leads him to lose himself. And so the lyrics being about could work on multiple layers. Yes, he definitely has a smirk. Materia Hunter, I agree. He's like, and then he turns, right? But you know what the thing is with Sephiroth is that I think when you see how he turns and how he goes back, it feels like it's robotic. It's almost supposed to show you that he's is not him anymore, right? So the lyrics I was saying could work on imagine that Cloud is talking to his true self. Do you guys think that the lyrics would still work? I feel like they might. Because what really saves Cloud at the end of the day, like what he really needs, obviously Tifa helps him repair the promise he made to Tifa, and the live stream sequence helps him find his true self. Zack's persona carries him as he struggles to know who he is through Remake and Rebirth. So it's very important to know that Zack's persona is a delusion, but it's important for Cloud because otherwise he would not survive, right? He needed that strength and that illusion. It's a white lie in a way. But the one thing that really solves his or kind of brings his arc full circle or whatever is his true self. And so if we are imagining that Cloud is... Don't imagine that Cloud is literally sitting there and talking to his true self, because obviously it's not how it's done. It's much more symbolic. It's not supposed to be literal. But imagine that we are talking about someone who has lost his true self, lost himself, lost his sense of identity, lost his own, maybe even confidence. Just think about someone who has lost their confidence, for example. Do you see what I mean? So they've lost who they are, and I feel like that's maybe even more powerful than being just about Zack or about Aerith or about someone. And when Cloud is possessed by Sephiroth, he also has a slight smirk. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys paid attention to it, but he even has like a small, like he starts laughing when we fight Demon Gate or Demon Wall. He's laughing while we are fighting Demon Wall, which is crazy. So I want to show you something. The interview, and I'm not sure we'll come back to it today, but hopefully we do. I want to show you what I think about the clear materia and the black materia. So if I was to ask a question of what does Cloud think once he looks at the white materia and once he looks at the black materia? Like, what's the first thought that comes to his mind? Imagine you are Cloud. You grab the white materia, the hollow materia, right? And you look at it. What is the first thing you think about or you remember or that your mind goes to? Imagine that you reach trying to hide it and you discover that you have the black materia, which is exactly what happened. Somehow we have the perfect thumbnail for that. Thank you, Final Weapon. And he realizes that he has the black materia and he looks at it. What is the first thought that springs to mind? Spoiler alert for the answer. They are more or less the same. The answers that I'm trying to lead towards are more or less the same. I'm curious to know if people interpret it the same way. And in doing that, I'm also going to look for chapter 14 to be able to showcase all of that. FF7 Rebirth, Chapter 14. Should be good. Where does he get the hollow materia? Here, right? This is the moment he gets the hollow materia.
And I'm the last.
So when she says I'm the last, it's almost like the white materia shines. And here he realizes he has it and whatnot. Okay. Rainbow dream imagery, symbolism. Now she has the hollow materia and she gives it to him.
Thanks for returning it
Right?
to me, Cloud. I appreciate it. But now, it belongs with you.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Am I misunderstanding the dialogue, or is this contradictory to what we thought? Because hold on a freaking second. I never paid attention to this. What she tells him is weird.
Thanks for returning it to me, Cloud. I appreciate it.
She tells him, thanks for returning it to me. I appreciate it. What did he return to her? He returned to her the white materia, right?
But now,
But now it belongs with you. So is she still talking about the white materia? She tells him, thank you for returning it to me. I appreciate it. But now it belongs with you. It's almost a way of saying, thanks for appreciating it, thanks for bringing it back, but you should have it instead. Can you guys keep me grounded and keep me honest here if I'm just saying nonsense? She transferred the knowledge to her version. Her memories? I found why Aerith lost her white materia at the start of Rebirth. Is that because she casted the spell on the portal, Roland? I can agree with that. Is this then the alternate Aerith having the white materia, which is what's used at the final scene in the original story? Well, this version does not have it. Yeah, because the whispers, yeah, so the more the whispers touched her, the more she lost part of herself. But I do feel that she specifically lost all of the knowledge in the white materia when she cast it in the singularity. Because, listen, the purpose of the white materia, I believe, in the lore is always to counter the black materia. So when you get into a black live stream kind of space like Destiny's Crossroads, you need a white materia to protect you. This is how I understand it, right? And so she almost used her materia, right? But here's the thing. Okay, we're getting somewhere. She used her materia in the portal. So the white materia is still with her terrier version. When Zack grabs her interior, she has her white materia. I don't think that that's an alternate Aerith who never lost her materia. I don't think that's what this is. Because remember that when we get into the singularity, the party actually is duplicated. You have a version that is KO and goes into Terrier, and then you have a version that carries on in Beagle with Cloud in Rebirth, right? What I believe happened is that when we fought Sephiroth and we beat him in the singularity at the expressway, when you beat the Harbinger, Holy is released. You have white imagery, you are standing above the water. So I think what happened there is that all that knowledge was actually returned to the materia that Aerith going into Terrier had. Am I making sense here? So instead of this is an alternate Aerith who had another white, because there should be one white materia. I'm going off the assumption that there is, it might be wrong, but I'm going off the assumption that there is one white materia. That knowledge with the white materia was then condensed back into the materia that Aerith has interior. What this means is that this Aerith, the one we see here, we're going to see her in a minute. So just to explain what I mean, this white materia has the memories of the singularity that we fought. Does this make sense? When we fought the Harbinger in the singularity, Aerith had already used Holy. Aerith needed to use Holy. Now, when we fought and we beat the Harbinger and we beat Sephiroth, all of that knowledge went back into the white materia, which Aerith had going into Terrier. This would make total sense. Why? Because the party that we see here are survivors from the tornadoes. The tornadoes that took place when we were fighting the Harbinger. The party that wakes up in Terrier are not different than the ones who were literally with Cloud, fighting the Harbinger. This is I think it's a very easy thing to kind of confuse because we are having two versions of the party. But this Aerith and this Red 13, now let me take it further. I'm actually spoiling the stream ahead of tomorrow, and I'm going to catch up on chat, but I just wanted to continue the reasoning. You have a Red 13 here, and he's going to tell him thank you, right? This is the Red 13 who says, a glimpse of today if we fell tomorrow. So this version of the party are the ones who actually defied fate. Because they defied fate, they are in this world. This is the version of the party who defied fate. The version with Cloud did not defy fate. The version that is there with Cloud did not see the Sephiroth vision twice. Because remember again, when Sephiroth summons Meteor and shows you that illusion, he does it twice. He does it in Remake and he does it in Rebirth, right before the Singularity. Well, he does it after the Crossroads in Remake and he does it before the Crossroads in Rebirth. So these guys are the ones who actually defied destiny. Exilat, I don't think at any point they remember fighting the Harbinger though. Okay, let me catch up on chat before answering all of them. The planet needed the memories to have a path since freedom is scary to the planet. I agree with that, but the version he handed to her had it. The version she gave him in the church. I thought their knowledge of the future stemmed from the white materia. I agree. And the Whispers took that from them, yeah. Okay, I actually addressed some of this in my Zack DLC. It's interesting, yeah, because we're having some, like, there are some thoughts that are, you know, there is a logic we can follow, which is very hard with the Singularity. These are copies, the same as Terrier World is a copy of Beagle World. But Roland, this is the thing, it's a copy, but it does not go the same way. You know why it does not go the same way? Because Cloud was never there. So it's almost as if these guys are KO because Cloud was never there to begin with. It's almost as if, I'm trying to find a good analogy for it, but because Cloud was not there with them, it doesn't make sense for them to have been to the Shinra building and to exit Midgar. They shouldn't exist, and so they're all KO, if that makes sense. But those are the ones who defied fate. I think the ex-soldier on the run is Cloud. They are playing on it. Clearly they are. It's intentionally misleading. But I think it's Cloud. I don't think it's Zack. The only thing that bugs me is the existence of, and you also have the opinion which is going to play in a big part. I think the entirety of Avalanche will help us do something in part 3. I'm definitely convinced of that. Yeah, Xilad, I don't think they remember fighting the Harbinger. I'm not sure if we hear any. They remember defying fate, maybe. They remember defying the Whispers, but I don't know if they remember going into the Singularity and everything. They remember Meteor, right? When I first saw the ending of Remake that we would see the Terrier world be in a what-if world, yeah. Well, it's almost that, but it's also a combination of what happens. Yeah, it's a world that doesn't make sense because Zack survives, but they are already at the Shinra building. It doesn't make sense, right? It shouldn't match up. Zack came in with Cloud in a sleepy state. The story would have been fundamentally different in a world where Zack didn't die. I totally agree, because the bombing missions almost don't happen. So, one awoken Cloud and one sleepy Cloud? Hey, Chimera Kate. Hi again, I'm a bit behind. I watched my fave YouTuber talk about the drama and it broke my heart. I want to love FF7, but the fandom can be so toxic sometimes. Yeah, it's, listen, we had a rant about it, but this kind of stuff that we are doing now is what we really want to do more of. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I know it's late. So let's rewind, right? What is the best way? Because I don't want to keep jumping in and out of videos, right? So, okay. Actually, I know what the perfect video for this is. FF7 Remake Chapter 18. We have the stream tomorrow where we talk about all of this with Bunkei. So I don't want to do too much as well so that we leave some analysis for tomorrow. But if we fine-tune the idea, we could potentially expand on it tomorrow. Another theory I've heard is that Terrier Cloud isn't present is because that one accepted Ori Sephiroth's hand. Yes, I love that idea. But what does that Cloud represent? Is it his true self? Is it his... I think that the Cloud who is here, by the way, I think is the true Cloud.
Enough for you.
He has a mental clarity about him. He is not easily... He is strong. He doesn't seem to me like a puppet. Like the Cloud here does not seem to me like a puppet. But that goes into all sorts of different directions, because it then makes us question why, at what period of time this is happening, if this is the real Cloud, right? That's another topic. So here's what I wanted to say. This moment... Right? What do you guys think? So, where are the four standing there, right, with Cloud? Aerith, Tifa, Red, and Barret. Where are they? Are these the ones that went into Beagle, or are these the ones that went into Terrier, or are they the same? Do they have the same memories? Or if those in Terrier were to wake up, what would they remember? Would they remember the same thing as those in Beagle or not? I'm asking because I don't want to go... I don't want to start begging the question with myself, right? I'm almost asking for counter arguments here. I remember one theory on 4chan over 5 years ago was interesting. It said originally the trilogy was going to be the only two games long, and that Zack would save Aerith, but one Cloud would die by Genesis. I can't get behind that because Cloud dying by Genesis. Sephiroth would abduct... Oh, okay. One Cloud would die by Genesis. Sephiroth would abduct one Cloud. Shulker would join the party. Aerith would become an avatar from Minerva. And Zack would temporarily lead the party to try to rescue that version of Cloud. Listen, I think it's possible that we still see some sort of Zack shenanigans trying to save the real Cloud. I don't think that's impossible. If we see Zack pop up in Beagle, I am right away yelling that world is not real. I can tell you guys right away. If Zack pops up in Beagle, then Beagle is a dream. as much as Terrier, as much as Chihuahua, and Cloud is unconscious, and we have not seen the real world yet. If we see a stamp Beagle model with Zack in a trailer in the same scene, as in not just messing with us, but actually showing them in the same shot, I am right away telling you that Beagle is also a dream. I'm also of the opinion that 1-star stamp is probably where it's at, Roland. I totally agree. I still can't get over the unconscious Cloud. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. 7? Okay, I know what happened. You know why? Because I simply did not choose. Because I was not prompted to choose how many ads. I usually set it on low. I'm gonna remove them now. I don't like that either. Yes. Roland, do you also notice how whenever he sleeps and he says, I'm tired and I want to sleep, something happens? When he sleeps in Gongaga, he wakes up and we go fight the Whispers and all that stuff. He tries to kill Tifa right after hearing about Zack and having a bit of a small breakdown. When he sleeps in the Gold Saucer twice, he wakes up in Terrier. He has dreams of Terrier at the very least. And when he sleeps in Chapter 4 of Remake, he wakes up and we have the Whispers again trying to take him to the Sector 5 mission. Birth by Sleep. I haven't played... yeah, it's on medium. I'm so sorry, guys, for the ads. I'm setting them too low now just to avoid that, because I usually set them on low, but I launched the stream right from OBS. So if you've been seeing lots of ads, I'm sorry for that. I try to keep it low now. But let me know if you're still having too many. And the last one where he sleeps, I was saying, is Chapter 4 of Remake. So I want to go back to my question, guys. The 4 party members here, where are they? Are these the ones who we see standing at the end of Remake with Cloud resolved to go after Sephiroth? Or are these the ones we see in Terrier, knocked out by the tornado? Justify your answer. I'm joking, obviously. I don't even know if I have a satisfactory answer myself. I want to do a thought experiment. This is all after we enter the portal, yes. So this is not only after we enter the white portal. We are in the edge of creation. Exactly. Okay. So everything that is after the portal, I believe, is the edge of creation. I totally agree with that. Question, did the Terrier world exist before fate was defied, just unreachable? I don't think so, because otherwise Zack and Biggs would not have the issue that they are having. Xilla, do you see what I mean? Because when you see Zack standing and looking at Midgar, you actually see the Whispers that are supposed to be enveloping the party in Midgar to begin. So they are almost in the same. So once you enter the singularity, it's all there. Both worlds exist in the same space. Terrier is then created. Sorry guys, I'm not, again, looking at my phone just to read the comments, because on computer it's not very easily visible. Not knocked out. The knocked out ones are before the portal. But how do these return back to before the portal? Hold on. So they never went into the portal? Materia Hunter, let me ask you this. Wouldn't it make sense that the ones who defied fate are the ones who are knocked out? Because the ones who go into Beagle are still heading towards the same version of events, aren't they? they don't seem to have fought fate or beaten fate that well. Whatever they tried, they doesn't seem that they did it well. However, if you presume that these four are the same ones who actually went into Terrier, it almost makes sense. Because they fought destiny, they beat fate. These guys would have beaten fate, and it makes sense that they go to a world which does not lead the same way as the world we know. I agree with you, I think they are all KO, so to speak, but I have addressed that in my story for my theory, but I will keep that to myself. I don't want to spoil my story for you, Monsieur Steed. Okay. I appreciate it. I like that we see world changing in real time. Zack sees Midgar as Big sees the world change in front of him. Exactly. Everything is happening at the same time. That's why it's the singularity, right? These are two separate groups. I agree. I think they are separate groups. I think they are copies. One before the portal and then one after. The group who went and defeated fate. When you say in Rebirth, Roland, do you mean they are in Beagle? Do you mean those are the ones who went with us? I was trying to find the interview about how the planet now exists in as multiple worlds is influenced by people's desires. Do you know where that was? Was that actually an interview? I don't think that was an interview. Not that I don't think, sorry. I don't remember seeing it, but obviously I didn't see everything. Yeah, they are worlds, but not necessarily universes. I mean, I'm totally in agreement. The KO ones didn't defeat the Harbinger. So would you guys say that the KO ones are these ones? Oh my god, lost all progress. Are these the KO ones? They are swept away by tornadoes, right? Could it be that one world breaks the rule of reality and becomes its own universe? I don't think so. So if I was to say that they did not break fate, would you guys agree that these are the ones who go into Terrier? Sorry, maybe the music was too loud. Are these the ones who go into Terrier if we say that they did not break fate? The reason I'm asking is because they are swept away by tornadoes, just like the survivors in Terrier. Okay, Roland, they are in Zack's world, but I'm trying to see what they remember. Because there is a moment of divergence, right? At one specific moment, they split. One party goes into Terrier and one party goes into Beagle. What does the Terrier party remember and what does the Beagle party remember if they were to wake up, is the question I'm trying to get at. I'm still trying to imagine the world breaking the reality and becoming its own universe, but I'm still struggling with it. Materia Hunter, you saying slightly before, so I understood what your theory is that these are, your understanding is that these are the ones who went into Rebirth. Okay, but let's think about it differently. Which Aerith should have the white materia out of these? Because the Aerith who walks into the portal should not have the white materia either. She just cast it, didn't she? Or should she? Should Aerith only have the white materia before the portal? So does it make sense that the Aerith who has the white materia in Terrier is this one? Did she actually already cast Holy? Because look. This is what she says, what she does, isn't it?
Freedom.
But hold on, I don't think she opened the portal. You know why? Because Sephiroth already opened it. Because look, what's going to happen is that you have a black-purple space that will now be white and black. It's almost as if she inserted Holy into the black live stream. What if there is a gray materia?
Boundless, terrifying.
Oh, she already cast it here. I don't know, it really seems to me as though she cast it, but I'm open to ideas contradicting this because I don't want to be too... I don't want to keep it closed off. You see, the portal for me is open, you can walk into it. She changed the path. Yeah, so she gave them a chance. I agree with the fact that she gave them a chance.
This is...
Look at this. Okay, look at the rainbow and white imagery. You will see glimpses of rainbow behind her. Did you guys see it? Do you see the rainbows? You see the rainbows. So rainbows and white is very much holy-esque. I feel that she almost cast holy here, didn't she? Oh, look at her hand. Look at her hand and the white glowing thing she has on her hand. You see that? That really looks like she's casting holy, but I also don't want to make it... I don't want to die on this hill. I'm not ready to die on it. I just feel like she might have. And you know why her... You know why her casting potentially holy here could make sense? It's because later... the Harbinger is blocking holy inside of it. So the Harbinger could have absorbed whatever Aerith cast into here. But again, I don't know if it's sure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, she shouldn't know. I agree. She only opens the portal. What if in part 3 there is a gray materia? That could be the hollow materia. That could be what the function of it is. Renaissance. I never understood people say that she used holy here. She doesn't know how to pray or cast holy. She changed the path that Sephiroth chose. I think she lost her memories by the whispers. She did not use holy because she didn't take the materia out of her. Yeah, she didn't take it. Yeah, I mean, again, as I was saying, I am not ready to die on this hill. I don't know if she actually used it. My understanding initially was that she might have used it because of the imagery. And because the Harbinger is then seen blocking something in its chest, which looks like holy. And the reason I say that is because of this. Look at when you beat the Harbinger. Holy is released from it. From its chest. God, I'm spoiling tomorrow's stream. Do you see? Holy is being released from the Harbinger's chest here. How do I know it's holy? Well, you can see the green and white. But here's how we know it is holy. It's because of this. This is holy. We are in a space where holy is. How do we know that this is holy here? It's because it's exactly the same as the wave that comes when holy is cast in the OG to stop meteor. And white and the water are very Livestream white adjacent symbolism devices. If she has the knowledge of the planet, it might just be something Cetra wouldn't know. It might just be something Cetra she wouldn't know otherwise. I think this is just her Cetra powers, okay. But there was something weird about her doing that. It's almost as if it wasn't even her, right? It seemed like she just went into it and just got hijacked by some Aerith in the future who did that. It was kind of weird. I do think, well, Materia Hunter, let me tell you, I agree with you. I disagree obviously because I still think it is holy, but I see why you might have an issue with it. So let me tell you why I also think this is holy. Because of something that happens here. Now this is not going to make sense at the beginning, but just listen to me, guys, okay? Listen to look at what happens when you... Look at what Genova Life Clinger has in its chest once again. Or is its chest? I mean, does it even have a chest? This music though. Okay. Do you see what it has inside of it? It also has something that looks like Holy being imprisoned within it. Look at what is going to come from Genova Life Clinger. Look at it. Probably going to make it on slow so that we don't miss it. Let's make it 25, okay? Look at this. Look at what comes out of Genova's orb being imprisoned there. Green and white light. White whispers as well. I'm not sure if they're coming directly from there, but the white whispers are only able to do whatever they're going to do now once Genova has been defeated. And this pattern is exactly the same as the OG. Genova or Sephiroth are blocking Holy. We need to kill them or beat them. And then Holy is released. It's the same thing. Oh, this fight was the OST nightmare. That was amazing. I feel that this is another instance of Holy being released, and us being within Holy almost takes us back to the White live stream. We did it once in Remake, and we are doing it again in Rebirth. This is how I feel about it. I'm also that Genova, you also noticed that Genova had something that looked like the white materia, yeah. Yes. Did you notice the white materia never turned pale green? Yeah. But I don't know about the colors though as well, because they've also changed the color of the black materia. So I do see the possibility that it could be just stylistic choices rather than actually something story relevant, but I'm still open to it. I just don't know how much we should read into it, yeah. But I did notice that it's not the same as the OG essentially. Whoever manages their art direction needs a raise. Well, Nomura was asking for a raise in Final Fantasy V or Final Fantasy VII, with the interview we were seeing. So look at what happens here. Look at what the White Whispers will do. It's like they were stopped from intervening, but then as soon as we beat Genova, who was blocking them, they are finally able to do whatever they wanted to do. Look at what they're going to do. I think this, Roland, I'm not sure if you're still with us. If you tell me this is the edge of creation, I fully agree with you. I fully agree. I think that this might be the exact same spot that the party was in at the end of Remake. And you know what that spot is? I think that this is the end game Northern Crater sequences. A possibility could be that whenever you cross into the Destiny's Crossroads, you are actually either jumping in time to the future when the party goes into the Northern Crater to defeat Sephiroth once and for all, or you could literally be experiencing Remake in that specific area, as in the entirety of Remake is essentially descending in the Northern Crater in the end game and trying to unblock Holy. You unblock it the first time at the end of Remake, you unblock it the second time at the end of Rebirth, as we see here, and then you're going to have to do it a third time. You see? Did you see this? This is very Holy friendly white live stream kind of thing. Let me tell you why I think they are in the edge of creation. It's because of this. It's because the entire landscape changes as soon as people appear or connections are done. He touches him and they are at the edge of creation. Also, is that another Holy? Like Holy friendly imagery behind? Green and white orb. Well, we're going to see it. You see it behind Cloud there. You know why I'm saying that, Roland? It's because, look at this. It's because when Aerith when we defeat Sephiroth here, because look, where are we standing here? Do you guys know what this is? I think that this is the exact same spot where we were in Remake after defeating the Harbinger. We are in the exact same spot and possibly in the exact same state of things, whenever we defeat Genova for good, we unlock Holy and we have to deal with Sephiroth. The reason I said it might be the edge of creation is because of this. Once we defeat him, he's going to fly away. We are still at the edge of creation, right? But right away, things are going to change. All of a sudden, the whispers have the ability to change things around you. I am wondering if you are physically traveling between worlds and spaces, or if you are just in the same space and the whispers actually change what revolves around you. Do you see? Did you see that? They just changed the landscape. We were in the edge of creation. Now we are between worlds. So are we essentially in the exact same spot? Are these happening in different layers? I also agree, Materia Hunter, that I think... So I read a Toriyama interview, which we will talk about on stream tomorrow again, which says that the space where the team... where Cloud beats or fights Sephiroth at the very least, is the future of the planet 7 seconds before the end, etc. So this is the only thing that is still stopping me from fully believing that the edge of creation is the singularity of Cloud's mind. It's essentially Sephiroth's way of trying to control Cloud from the inside revolves around beating him and maybe keeping him trapped there. Maybe that's the real Cloud trapped, if you see what I mean. I don't know if she brought him back here. I don't know if he is coming back or not, but...
Ready?
But anyways. We went into all different directions. You see how crazy... What did this start with, Roland? This started with your idea that Hollow has the white, clear, and black materia? This is crazy. You see how one single thought can change everything? Goodness. But I do remember we had a train of thought. Yeah, so we really need to figure out what happened to that party. So the ideas we have are either the ones before the portal, or the ones that were swept away by the tornadoes, or the ones who defeated Sephiroth when the explosion happened. Unfortunately, we don't have any more clues to say which is which, right?
Where are we?
Would you guys agree that this is the same space where we defeat Sephiroth at the end of Rebirth? I think it is. Look at it. Right? I think it is the same space.
I'm waiting, Cloud.
This song, by the way, is goated. Yeah, meteor, this illusion happens and whatnot. One of the other questions about the party is, do they actually experience this scene twice? Or is Cloud the only one who experiences it twice? Because look, they're gonna see it here. Right? I've obviously spoken about this in the very first video I posted, the big one. So this happens here. And the party is like shocked and it's Sephiroth, blah, 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 blah. But the exact same thing happens in Rebirth chapter 14. So did the party actually experience it twice? Should we expect them to react to that? Or is Cloud the only one who experienced it twice? Because this version of the party does not go into Rebirth. Do you guys see why I have this question about the duplicate parties? Which one is it and which one is the one that really goes into Beagle? So yeah, that's where it becomes very challenging. And I'm curious to know whether you think they see it twice or not, because that's the core question for me. There is a Prime Aerith, yeah, but We haven't yet seen a clear differentiation, right? Also, if there is a prime Aerith, does it mean that all the versions of the others are just copies that are devoid of any agency? I do see problems with that. I don't feel that, especially Cloud, I don't feel that he's devoid of agency. I think that he's consistent. It's the same Cloud going through this stuff. She does talk to him differently, but also the Ultimania says that she's the only one who recognizes that Sephiroth is different, right? The Sephiroth that appears in the Expressway is different, and so that's why she kind of starts. She talks to him a bit more, not aggressively, but she's not indifferent towards him like she is sometimes towards the Sephiroth that we see in the other sequences, right? She's like just worried about Cloud at times, but here in the Expressway, obviously she's very different in her attitude. Man, this kind of stuff is the cans of worms they open with their crazy storytelling is insane. This is what I enjoy. I don't enjoy fighting people on X all day. I enjoy this, guys. Let's do less fighting and let's do more this. Let's have it more open. I don't know how many of you think this is a sequel here. Probably many. Probably don't. Probably many don't. And we don't care. We're all discussing the same thing. I just want to know, who are these? I just want to know, who is this version of Red 13? This is the only thing I want to know. I don't care if it's a sequel. I don't care if Clarith is canon. I don't care if Claudie is canon. I don't think if Sefikura is canon. I just want to know, who is this Red 13? Is it the same one who said, a glimpse of tomorrow if we fail here today? I also think the party at the very end of Rebirth is different than the ones at the beginning. Yes. Do you mean, Materia Hunter, that the party who sees Aerith's death is different from the party that Cloud was experiencing reality with up to the point he thinks he saved her? Do you think that they were merged and that he's now with the real party in the real world? I totally agree with this. Those are the ones who were with the majority of Remake. So then the ones interior are just duplicates of those? I thought it was a sequel after Remake, but after Rebirth, I think it's more of a reimagine. I totally agree, Nick. Yeah, I'm on the same boat for sure. Sorry, Gilbert, I missed your last message. Different timeline, Red. Hey, Crabtree Jared 29. All is good. Thank you for joining. Yes, different timeline, Red. Obviously, this is what they want us to. By the way, look at those. Look at the injuries he has. Clearly, they want us to think this. But how is it a different timeline, Red, when the Biggs and Zack know the same Cloud? Do you see what I mean? Cloud is the connecting link between the Terrier and the Beagle world. The one common thing is Cloud. The one common thing that Zack and the party in the Shinra building know is Cloud. So as long as there is that, it's the same version of Cloud. As long as there is that connection, it's very hard to say it's a different timeline, Red 13. You see what I mean? Because he would have the same memories as Red 13 from Beagle. Because it seems that Terrier branched out from Beagle rather than always existed. Biggs isn't copied, I agree. But if Cloud didn't exist, Roland, Biggs and Zack would not be paradoxical. The fact that Cloud exists and Biggs and Zack know different, what is supposed to be different versions of Cloud when he isn't different, is the problem, is why I'm saying that he is the link, right? No, Monsieur Steve, did you notice the Nanaki clones picture I posted on your Discord? I really wish they would have included them as they were scrapped. Interesting. I'll check it out. Another moderator just handled this. Okay. It's a Doom like. I'm excited Rebirth is finally coming to Xbox and the demo's out, and I've been playing it switched to Xbox like 8 years ago. I switched to Xbox and just never went back, so I've never. Crabtree Jared 29, so happy to see you discovering Remake and Rebirth. Are you familiar with the OG? Because this is big spoiler territory. As a heads up, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the OG. If you're not, it's completely fine. We will be talking about big spoiler stuff. We try to keep it spoiler free as much as possible, but what is for sure is that we won't talk about the big plot twists of the OG. Obviously, there is no reason for us to go there now, but it is still a spoiler free. Okay, you're 36 and you already played the OG. Amazing. Well, then great to have you along for the ride. And did you enjoy Remake? How was Remake? If you beat everything on hard on Remake, you do not get anything for Rebirth, unfortunately. You get a couple of things, I think, like Leviathan and a couple of accessories if you have a save of Remake Intergrade, I believe, in your console, and you go and you boot up with the same one, then you will get some good stuff for Rebirth. But other than that, I don't think you get anything for hard mode. Yeah. So I just want to know who this Red 13 is. Obviously, the dialogue also in Japanese is kind of a little bit different, but we'll get into that in tomorrow's stream. Yeah, crazy midnight theory crafting once again, isn't it? Shall we go back to our interview? I believe... Appreciate it. No, of course, happy to help. I believe Sephiroth went back in time through the live stream after Cloud defeated him in the movie and remake. Is the new timeline that Sephiroth is messing with. We just don't know what he did different. But Gilbert, this is where I would obviously have had this conversation a lot. We might have discussed it once, I don't know. But this is my question to this, is that why would Sephiroth specifically decide to remake the events of the OG rather than go back to the Nibelheim incident, for example, and do it differently? I totally agree. I feel like we are too concerned with the meta, and I feel like we don't give enough time to the story as it is. This is how I feel about it as well. I totally agree.
基本的にその最初にその何をしたいとか、こういうのを入れたいとかっていうのを伝えた後はもうほっといてくれるっていうんですかね。
He's talking about Nomura,
あ
right?
りがたいですね。なんかすごい信頼されてる感じがあって。
He trusts us, and I'm really
そこは
grateful.
すごい
Yeah,
ありがたく思ってます。
I love Nojima,
上松さん
man.
はもう
I love their way of communicating, right? They're very humble. They're down to earth. Like and it really shows that they love what they do.
信頼されてる感じがあって、そこはすごいありがたく思ってます。上松さんはもう僕がお会いした時は大作曲家だったんで、もちろん尊敬してるんですけど、何かこう常に楽しいことを
The GOAT.
してる人だなっていう印象があって、いやいやもう一緒にお仕事させていただいてありがたいです。
哲君なんかやっぱりいまだに後輩の感じがするんですよね。もう後輩ですよ。いやでも本当にペイペイの頃から知ってるんで。
He's not shying away, Uematsu. He's like, yes, you guys are sitting down here with me, but I'm still the boss. I've been in this game much longer than you guys, so you gotta show some respect.
すごく感じますね。
Given that we still have some folks here, I'm sure that now, it's midnight 30 where I am EST, so I'm sure some people might be even have be in later time zones or whatever. So just a heads up once again, guys, that the stream tomorrow for the Edge of Speculation, the new podcast where we do crazy theory crafting every Saturday, and we just talk lore, we talk news. But for example, tomorrow what we will be doing is we will be analyzing the entire chapter 18 with Bunkei. And that's going to be very fun. So that is going to happen at 4 p.m. EST Eastern. You can check out the link to the stream if you are not already, if you didn't click already the notification button. Would really appreciate that you guys like the stream, be it this one or the one tomorrow, and share it if you want, and subscribe, of course, if you are there. We are still here, still haven't wrapped up, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention, guys, so that if you want to check out the stream tomorrow, you know where it's going to be and what time. And I'm going to drop in the chat the link to the stream tomorrow. Okay, I would really love to see many of you, because we will have even crazier theory crafting than today. I can guarantee you that. Here's the link to tomorrow's stream. Right, I just know that Sephiroth is gaslighting the party in Remake into thinking the future is a bad ending, therefore convincing them to beat the Whispers and free of Sephiroth his doomed destiny. Materia Hunter, I totally agree. I feel that in Beagle, in Rebirth, Beagle has become almost Sephiroth's playground. He's doing whatever he wants, right? Well, Sephiroth is doing all this because he doesn't want to just be a memory, and he's trying to break to hold that Jenova has on him. Yes, Gilbert, I understand how you might think that because of the quote from Advent Children, right? And I was of the same opinion for a long time. So this is why I'm kind of trying to bounce ideas off and just try to not challenge, but just have a conversation about, maybe try to show you another side and see whether you agree with it, another perspective. But what I've come, so after, having been doing this for a while, what the conclusion I came to is a bit different than what I was before. And if you look, for example, at, I'm not sure if you saw my last video, and I'm not here to, don't want to make it too salesy, but basically there was a Sephiroth video I made where Nojima-san, the scenario writer of Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth, and DOG obviously, and Advent Children and everything related to FF7, stated that the Sephiroth who comes back in Advent Children is Genova's will. Now, I'm aware that on the way to a smile, it's kind of, there are some hints that it could be Sephiroth himself, but I'm not exactly sure if that is him because of this specific quote. Because they struggled to begin with to find a reason for him to come back, which makes sense because the OG did not really set up Sephiroth to come back in Advent Children, right? And so for him to come back, they needed a good reason. And the reason that is the most convincing that they found was that this was actually the will of Jenova trying to manifest Sephiroth. What this would mean is that Sephiroth was actually already just a memory. And I believe that trusting too much into what Sephiroth says is kind of challenging, it's kind of risky. Would love to see somehow weave FF10 and FF7. I love FF10. It's not in my top 2. I'm not even sure it's in my top 3 Final Fantasy games. But I know that it's very popular in terms of potential remake, so I don't know if they would connect them in universe, but yeah, there are Easter eggs obviously, but I don't know if they would go all the way to actually making it a full-fledged part of the story. Yeah. It's hard to distinguish between Jenova and Sephiroth. I understand that, yeah, as well. And this is why in the Sephiroth video I tried to kind of break it down, because remember how there's also the Ore versus Watashi Sephiroth, where there is this expectation that when he uses Ore, it is more or less him, and when he uses Watashi, it is more or less the Jenova version of him. And in the video I actually went over all the dialogue that he had in Remake and Rebirth and did not spot a pattern. Yes, he does change in Nibelheim, but then he comes back in Rebirth using Ore when he should not be using it, if that is only when he's dead, for example, or that is only his Jenova self. And then he uses Watashi and Ore interchangeably in Rebirth. And so all of this stuff just kind of pushes me to think that we are trying to distinguish between Jenova and Sephiroth, which is a good exercise to do. I think as a thought experiment, it's good. But does it lead to a different outcome? I don't think it does. So I don't think that even if we realize which scenes are Jenova and which scenes are Sephiroth, I don't think we will benefit much from it to begin with, if you see what I mean. But I definitely think that the one who returns in Advent Children would be much more the memory of him rather than him. Yes, that is what I tried to present in the video, is that there is a Jenova Sephiroth and there is a human Sephiroth, I believe. I believe it was an attempt for the reunion, Crabtree Jared. And so the idea was to bring Sephiroth back through diving into memories of people who know him, particularly Cloud. And so that's why they targeted Cloud. The remnants targeted Cloud specifically. Well, they didn't target him, but Sephiroth in On the Way to a Smile, it's kind of implied that he is targeting Cloud. If Cloud remembers me, then I'm going to remember who I am. But just the fact that Sephiroth forgets who he is there is kind of a hint that there is something wrong. You see what I mean? It's a hint that we're not dealing with the human Sephiroth anymore. I believe that at the end of the OG, the human Sephiroth returns to the planet, and the Jenova Sephiroth is what stays on. He comes back in Advent Children, but thankfully Cloud becomes strong enough. And this is what Advent Children is about. It's about Cloud becoming strong enough to stop the manipulation and the back door that is kind of left for Jenova to enter his mind and kind of mess with him all the time because of the guilt that he carries. This is why Advent Children, once again, is one of the sentences I say in the video, is that if Remake was about letting go of anger of pursuing Sephiroth and realizing that that anger is not righteous and does not lead to better outcomes, Advent Children is rather about letting go of the guilt of not being able to save the ones that you love. Cloud probably and definitely he feels heavy load and heavy responsibility for not being able to save Aerith, as you obviously see it a lot in Advent Children. But what we also forget is that he feels he has a survivor's guilt kind of thing going on with Zack, where it's a question of why did he survive and why did he die and why did I survive, right? Should he have been the one who survived? And when he visits Zack's grave, he says something of the sort. He says, I said I'd live both our lives, but it was easy for me to say that. What I'm doing today is really not worthy of living both our lives. And he kind of feels sorry for himself. And this is why Advent Children to me is precious. And I don't want to go on a tangent about people saying Advent Children is bad. You could criticize it as a movie, but as a story, the way Nojima and Nomura intended for it to be, Nomura literally says Advent Children is about saving children. How can you tell me that a story that is about saving children is bad? All respect to people's opinions. I just find this a bit on the extreme side of saying that it is bad, right? But people are free to think what they want, of course. But I lost my train of thought here, but the whole point of Advent Children was to show you that life is not as easy as you beat Sephiroth in the OG and that's it. This is how they approached it. Things are still going to happen. What matters the most is our ability to rebuild, our ability to let go of the guilt of the past, of not being able to do certain things. That again goes hand in hand with Aerith's speech at the Temple of the Ancients, for example, right? And I don't see a better example of rebuilding and restarting and to keep going despite all the hardships in life than Cloud in Advent Children. Cloud in Advent Children was literally close to giving up. And it is an extremely powerful message to see that Cloud still cares and does not give up after the end of Advent Children, because literally the last song is called Cloud Smiles. And that is precious for me. That is not something that we should consider bad. That is something that we should cherish because it literally shows you a great, realistic way of human growth journey. There is the one Sephiroth says that doesn't belong here, very poor form, and another that says pray, Aerith, pray. Yeah, it's possible that they are different. I totally agree that in Rebirth and Remake, we could be dealing about a Jenova-controlled Sephiroth and a Sephiroth-controlled Sephiroth. I totally agree with that. I feel like Sephiroth has always been trying to, get his own life back. He didn't have a very long life. He freaked out and got killed by Cloud. I agree, Jared. The only thing is, yes, Sephiroth's journey is tragic, unfortunately. And I think the first soldier definitely set that up. It shows you that he thought he had a choice, but he never had a choice. And it's setting up a scenario where maybe now he has a choice in Remake, and that's why we see him at the edge of creation trying to, quote-unquote, save the planet. But if you remember the OG, Sephiroth also says he wants to save the planet from destruction, from human draining it. Because for him, the planet dying is what matters, or the planet surviving is what matters. But all the lives on the planet which make it special do not matter. So his speech is kind of consistent with that. And I don't think he's a different motivation behind it. And just because his life was tragic, it doesn't necessarily mean that he also needs to be fully redeemed. I think what Sephiroth needs is essentially just understanding. He could be lying totally, Materia Hunter, or just twisting. He could be convinced by the lie he has, because remember, Jenova has had access to his mind for forever, and has been showing him dreams of her as his mother. Can you imagine that? That's insane. Do you believe Jenova was making Sephiroth absorb destiny, or did Sephiroth do that on his own free will? I think that was him. So, Gilbert, I believe that Sephiroth that appears at the expressway actually sees what is going on and is like, you know what? I actually want to control things myself now because I have my own will, and I will bend the Jenova will. And that's what defeating the Harbinger does. The Harbinger is a huge Jenova connection. Like the colors and the imagery and the color coding and the design are very Jenova adjacent. Like literally the three whispers that you fight are inspired by the remnants from Advent Children. Like it cannot get more Jenova than that. And I believe that Sephiroth thinks he has a better and more righteous goal, which is to save the planet. But I think Aerith is right in saying that he only cares about the planet and himself. If he wants to save the planet and it ends up being at the expense of everything that lives within it, I think he doesn't care. And this is why I believe Aerith more than Sephiroth. Because listen, guys, at the end of the day, it's whether one of the two has to be lying or one of the two has to be wrong. I believe that Aerith is not wrong. Sue me. What if I told you Sephiroth Jenova uses geostigma to memories in Rebirth? Or Sephiroth turns green live stream to black live stream? Roland, thank you so much. I love how you bring up these details because you spot a lot of great things. I agree with you that at the end of Rebirth, in chapter 14, when he appears and summons Meteor once again, yes, he absolutely... Again, it's very Advent Children friendly imagery where he turns the green live stream into black live stream. I totally agree. He changed people, now he is changing memories. And I believe those memories are clouds. When you say pray, Advent Children, I think children will be important. I totally agree. I don't know how much Advent Children they will include in part 3, but I do believe that. You know what, guys? There is an underlying theme of children they have been included already, isn't there? There is the orphanage in Remake, which is a pretty big part of Biggs' story, for example. I'm trying to remember in Rebirth. Is there anything with children in Rebirth? There is the Moogles, but that's more on the, life can be fun kind of side. Please, guys, remind me if I forgot. I don't remember anything from Rebirth, but I feel like with Remake, they set it up already. He needs to gaslight the party to change destiny. I think what he wants is for all living things to live forever and not return to the planet. Exactly. He literally says it. He says, I don't want to... I will not end, nor will I have you end. The more accurate translation in Japanese, based on machine translation, and actually based on on fan-made translations that I found online, says, I don't want to disappear, and I don't want to erase you, but I don't want to erase you. It's like the planet will die. That's the cosmic live stream it goes into, the nebula that is behind him, right? I don't want the planet to die, so I don't want to disappear. I want to fight death. I don't want to accept death, essentially. Because Sephiroth's biggest complex is he just never accepts death. However, I also don't want to erase you. I don't want to just take over your body and do whatever I want with it. So please help me. Let's do this together. But as soon as Cloud says no, Sephiroth is unable to take no for an answer. And the remake material Ultimania Plus says that when Sephiroth realizes that Cloud is not going to help him, then he can only keep leading him by the nose. And this is a very powerful sentence because it means that Cloud has already been led by the nose by Sephiroth in Remake. We see it much more in Rebirth, but it means that a lot of the scenes in Remake should already be put in question. Jesse's father is in Rebirth? I did not know, Roland. Where is he? Gilbert, I don't think we see him going. I'm sorry. Sometimes I shoot down ideas. I'm so sorry if I do that too much. It's like I sound as though I'm completely against an idea. No, not at all. It's just that I did have this conversation before, so that's why the answer was kind of ready in my mind. I do feel that it's a step too far. I think we can save Sephiroth from himself, from the craziness he is going through. But I don't think he joins our party and all of a sudden helps us defeat Jenova. You know why? Because that undermines the journey of Cloud. If Sephiroth has a full redemption arc, Cloud's redemption arc is undermined. Because guys, Cloud's redemption arc is a big prominent thing in FF7. Because Cloud literally brings about the destruction of the world by getting the black materia to Sephiroth. I know that there were countless clones. There were countless clones, or copies is the more accurate word. But were those copies really strong enough to get the black materia to Sephiroth? Did we see any copy that was ready to do that? It seems that he really needed Cloud for that. And that's what we see at the end of Remake at the Edge of Creation. So Cloud is actually the tool for the reunion. And for summoning Meteor. So Cloud, once he does that, has a long way ahead of him of redemption. So if you bring in also Sephiroth's redemption, which would, you know what, with the first soldier, you might be seeing a setup for it. But if you only play Remake and Rebirth, the setup to Sephiroth's redemption would be very hasty, and it would be like, what the hell is going on? Why is this guy all of a sudden good? At the very least, if you know the compilation, maybe. But guys, 90% of people are not going to go and play the first soldier. So they're not going to see that setup. And if it was a setup that was important, they would have shown it. Special Trinity attack together. Cosmo Canyon in the circle with Tifa. Roland, do you just mean that it's a model reused or that it's him? Because that's a pretty big thing. I want to go back to Cosmo Canyon and read all the NPC dialogue because there is huge NPC dialogue there. There are so many details that are so important. Not only the one that says, my parents died and now I feel that they live in another plane. No. I guarantee you that there is much more than that. I mean, Sephiroth likes Cloud in the couple of weeks that he knew him. Maybe he really wants to be friends. Did he really like him? I know he asks him, it's your hometown. I have no hometown. But in Crisis Core, we don't really see a relationship with them, right? Between them, right? It's more so Cloud's mind filling in the gaps and thinking that he was close with Sephiroth. In part 3, I think Cloud will make a choice, not a player choice, to let Sephiroth have his way and save Aerith in the process or keep things the way they are. I could get along, I could get on board with that. The only question would be for me, I just want to see how this plays out. Like, how do they explain when this is taking place? Because as far as I know, Dirge of Cerberus Cloud had all of this behind him. So if Cloud after Dirge of Cerberus has a decision to make, I need to understand how he got from the Cloud who we see in Dirge of Cerberus to whatever we see now. Do you see what I mean? This is my biggest challenge with understanding how it could be a sequel is, can I get a framework of how it actually happens? Technically. Why does he not remember the bombing mission when he steps in there? If he already went through this. See what I mean? The only way Sephiroth gets a redemption would be if he were to sacrifice himself. Exactly. I think Angeal, I don't know about Genesis, but I think Angeal definitely shows up. There is a possibility that he shows up and tells him, hey, I'm gonna beat your ass out of this craziness that you're going with. I'm gonna get you out of this madness. I think that's what he's gonna do, because Angeal is so resilient and so insistent, and he will not give up. Yes, I also want to see Benora. I'm with you. I want to see Benora. I want to see Modeoheim. And you know what? In Modeoheim, some crazy stuff is going to happen. One of my theories is that, my predictions for part 3 is that we go to Modeoheim before or right after Icicle Inn, and Cloud has another of those breakdowns because that's where he remembers Zack. That's where he remembers meeting Zack for the first time. That is potential for huge shenanigans, guys. I haven't seen anyone talk about it, but I strongly believe that Modeoheim will be part of the beginning of the story, and that we will have some crazy stuff like the Gongaga stuff, for example. Special Trinity attack together. Oh, okay. I just understood, Renaissance, what you were saying. Yes, Sephiroth needs Cloud as a vessel because guys, Sephiroth is dead. You see? Sephiroth technically is dead. This is why all of the shenanigans in the live stream are important to Sephiroth, because he is dead. He needs to live through people's memories and through exerting his will through people. This is the entire reason the live stream shenanigans exist. The whispers are only a tool for eventually Sephiroth to be able to exert his will while he is dead. Because how can Sephiroth control people while he is dead? Through the live stream. And so if you see what's happening through the live stream, you see how he is controlling things. Genesis and Cisne will end up being siblings. That is a crazy prediction, which I can get behind. Because of the red hair. I want to see Benora. I think Sephiroth will be willing to go into the live stream by his own volition. I think he has a realization once he is beaten by Cloud. Because they've been setting this up also in the sense that Aerith keeps telling him, for example, how do you want this? An eternity of loneliness. And Angeal in the 2.5 year anniversary of Ever Crisis trying to talk sense into him. They are setting this up as though there is a moment where everyone comes together to convince him, hey, stop this BS. Let's just stop this. You're about to destroy everything and everyone. I do believe that Cloud will still have to fight Sephiroth, but I think Sephiroth will turn on Jenova after she has no use for her because she isn't his true mother. Just Cells put him in the womb. I can get along with Sephiroth coming to a realization that Jenova is bad. But I don't know if he turns on her altogether. I think the only way for him to turn on her would be that he sees Vincent, and Vincent tells him, dude, that's not your mother. I already know your mother. Here she is. And he has a picture of her. And it tells him her name is Lucrezia. Which would be funny because Sephiroth has been in the live stream for 5 years and has traveled the live stream and got all the knowledge and still was not able to figure out that Lucrezia is his mother, not Jenova? What kind of knowledge was he getting? I think the book Dear Destiny really has so much info. Absolutely, especially on Mako poisoning, Renaissance. Well, Jared, that is a great question. Is he dead or just in a crystal? Do we actually ever see Sephiroth alive in the OG? Alive as in physically appearing in the physical world, not when we fight him in the Northern Crater. This is the biggest tension point for me in the OG, is that Sephiroth is never alive. He does all of this while being dead. And my wife, when she was playing Remake and Rebirth, she told me a very interesting theory. She told me it is possible that what we are seeing is the world of the dead that Sephiroth now controls, and that the reunion of worlds is essentially merging the world of the dead with the world of the living so that he can control things. She's still not sure whether Sephiroth is alive. She thinks he is alive, which is why I found the idea even more interesting. But she specifically insisted on the world of the living and the world of the dead, and he wants to merge them, which would essentially be merging live stream dreams with reality, if you want to look at it from the perspective or the jargon we've been using, right? I think Sephiroth gives Cloud his gift so that he can later control Cloud's body. Find it very weird that Cloud opens up a portal by shooting black whispers out of his body. That was insane. That was insane. I think that Sephiroth's one-on-one monologue with Cloud at the edge, not at the edge of creation, but in the space between worlds in chapter 14, is the moment he gave him his blessing, as you said, and that's when he was able to just control him. I think that specific moment, I totally agree. Gilbert is cooking. Let us know, Gilbert. Give us all the wild theories. He could be in a coma in a crystal, but he fell into the live stream, and you know, the chances are his wound was fatal as soon as he fell into the live stream. But also he's refusing to die. You know what the problem is? Is that, for example, you see Tifa also not refusing to die, but finding the strength not to die when she falls in Gongaga, right? The strength comes from Zangan, it comes from Aerith, it comes from her father, for example, it comes from Dr. Sheeran. That's why she sees them. They give her the strength to come back. because she was in the pool of Mako. She could have died. I think the thing with Sephiroth is that he doesn't have such thing. The memories he has with, and it's crazy, maybe this is all what Sephiroth, like the first soldier is all what Sephiroth was going through in the live stream when he was deciding whether he was going to give up his memories and return or actually hold on and try to come back. But his memories have been muddied with nonsense by Genova. You know, there is a lot of weird stuff, like Glenn and Matt and Lucy abandoning him, for example, like the dreams where he thinks that Genova in the body of Lucrezia is his mother and that he should only cherish her and not care about anything else. All of this stuff is kind of makes me think that he wants to come back, but he does not have a strong enough reason, according to whatever objective live stream logic there is, to actually come back like Tifa does, for example. She has the love of people who really want her to come back and need her, right? I don't think the Whisper was in Cloud's body, but it was commanded by Cloud. Yeah, no, I don't think we were saying that it was in Cloud's body. We just meant that his thoughts controlled the Whispers, essentially. I believe that the golden live stream is the promised land and Sephiroth is trying to find it. The golden live stream. Can you let me know what you mean by the golden live stream? Is that something we have in FF7? Even in the OG, there is tons of live stream interaction that doesn't end in death. Jared, you're suggesting a very interesting idea. Because I never looked at it this way. I always presumed that he's dead. But is he? That is a good question. Given that he is in the live stream, it explains why he is able to exert his influence this much. Because being in a pool of Mako allows you to have access to immense knowledge and allows you to essentially be able to control people and the Whispers and whatnot. But can he physically be reborn? That is an interesting question. You need to give it a bit more thought. I want to see Tifa and Zangan go on a side quest and Zangan to be a guest party member and Tifa learns her final limit break. I think we spoke about it last time, right? Yeah, it would be great if limit breaks are like this, you know? If it's not like just something you check as a checklist on a folio or whatever it was called. It will end with one world. That is my theory. We have seen the end when we saw the Edge of Creation. I totally agree with you, Roland. The Edge of Creation from the OG. That's where we're heading, and that's where the decision, if there is a decision, that's where it will be made. And I think this is all amounting to that specific moment where we let Sephiroth return to the planet in peace, where we reunite with the true self of Cloud for a while. I mean, it's him finally who goes to beat Sephiroth. And where everyone essentially, you know, if there is a reunion between Zack and Aerith, for example, it happens there. If Angeal and Sephiroth reunite, it happens there. I'm not sure if it's going to be like one big party or whatever, but it feels like that's what we're heading towards. Oh, the Rift is told not to look up. And see, here's my problem with the Rift is that the Rift appearing in Cloud's livestream sequence makes me question every single dream world. And it really reinforces my idea that possibly these worlds are about Cloud's unconscious trying to send him messages that Zack died, Biggs died. You are Cloud, you are not Zack. You survived. This is why you survived. It's because people need you. And Aerith is going to die and there is nothing you can do about it. I think that these are the messages that the worlds are trying to communicate with him. Sephiroth did say he traveled in the live stream, yeah, and gained knowledge. When the temple became the black materia. Yeah, he says it. I don't think he says it in Rebirth, but he did say it in the OG. So, Materia Hunter, it does make you wonder, why does he then still think that Genova is his mother? Based on that, I almost feel that he should, at the very least, have come across some memories of Lucrezia by someone. I don't know. Suddenly come across memories. And, you know, you have the ripples that resonate within the live stream where people thinking about two things at the same time can find it. But it's also possible maybe because Lucrezia has not been yet, hasn't returned to the planet or anything, right? She's still crystallized as well. I can get behind that Renaissance, totally. I can get behind that with Aerith. Genesis is a wild card. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if they introduce Genesis in the story. Yeah, Lucrezia is still alive is the best theory I could also think of. This is why she was not. He wouldn't be able to find her. Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, guys, this was an amazing chat. I would love to see you all in the stream tomorrow because we have a big one once again. I know it is late where a lot of you are, so I really appreciate you connecting and staying for this long. You see, this is what I want to do all day. This is what I want to do every day in the week. Talk to people who have different ideas and that completely disagree with me and that I completely disagree with, because we bounce ideas off each other and then we just realize that there is something that we actually both realized or arrived to. There is always common ground. This is what I try to tell people on Twitter or on X, is that you're always going to find common ground. And at the very least, you're going to find common ground with people who like the same game as you do. There is no chance that you can't find common ground with people who love FF7 Remake. Do you guys see what I mean? There is no chance that you can't find it. Thank you so much, Jared. Thank you so much, Blue Jay. I appreciate you tuning in. Really appreciate it. Travail de chanson. Yeah, I'm also very, very tired, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take off. Maybe answer one last question here. What part do you think that Underground has in the story? I think that with the assault on Midgar, or the raid on Midgar, the assault, you keep saying the assault, the raid on Midgar, we will definitely see it. I think that it will be a big part. I don't think it's going to be a big part to the sense where all of a sudden we undo everything that still needs to happen in Dirge of Cerberus. I still think that they will keep enough for us to have some substance if they want to remake it or remaster it or whatever. But as I said it at the beginning of the stream, I can see a scenario where, for example, Yuffie is like, she wants to find Nero and basically settle things with him, but then there is some sort of thing that, like what happens with Hojo and Vincent, right? Vincent wants to go and settle things with Hojo, but then there's this big storm and then there's this big lightning that hits, and then all of a sudden he disappears. And I think this is what's going to happen. Ooh, the spicy stuff. The spicy stuff by Roland. My 13-year-old loves Remake and Rebirth. Harder to get him to play the OG. Same with my wife. She loved portions of Remake. She loved the Singularity. She loved all the meta stuff. She doesn't know the OG, obviously. She really hated Rebirth. I mean, my video with her interviewing her about her experiences on the channel as well. I'm not sure if you checked it out. But as someone who does not know the story, she really hated it when it comes to Rebirth. But getting them to play the OG, which is why I think that the game should stand on its own for newcomers. Will Zach replace Cloud when he is sick? Roland, here is my, again, I'm not sure if we were already chatting when I said this earlier. I think that if Zach replaces Cloud, I said I'm screaming that this is a dream. Not that everything is a dream. I'm screaming that the Beagle world... Are we still in Beagle to begin with? Because worlds were merged, right? Oh my god, do we still have stamps as the same way as we had them before? Could they mess with us in the trailer and show us a completely different breed and we're like, what's going on? I feel, so you know where they could do that? I think that they could do that in the Nibelheim flashback when you get to the northern, to the Whirlwind Maze. I think they will want it, so obviously Sephiroth messes with Cloud. And so what's one of the better ways to mess with Cloud? Is to show him that Zack is literally there. This is the guy who survived, not you. He's going to tell him that guy was in Nibelheim, not you. But that's also just going to show me that, and if Zack interacts, then I don't know how we can reconcile that. But as soon as that happens, there is tension. And you could see a potential for Zack to replace Cloud. But thematically, I don't want that to happen because I want to feel Cloud's departure. I want to feel Cloud not being there for at least like 4 chapters. 4 or 5. Yes, I think the power of friendship be the answer to finish Roland, not only to finish him, but to save him. Yeah, where are all the likes at? Parce que weapon majeur story from EC worries me. I think it will be power of friendship, but not necessarily in the way that it was. Remember that chibi story for the Ever Crisis stuff is chibi. I'm gonna say write-in, but the write-in is kind of adapted to that, right? It's more in line with the OG and the chibi models, because when you bring facial expressions and when you bring motion, action, and this kind of stuff, it's a completely different level. The writing, it becomes very different. It becomes like a movie. This is why remakes writing and dialogue is very different to the OG. There are lines that are obviously repeated, but if you look at a full scene, it becomes across completely differently. And so even if they were to apply the same concept, I don't think that the anniversary stuff is fully canon. I think it's spiritually canon, but I don't think it's going to be replicated like for like in part 3. But I think if they do it, it's going to be in a way where it's going to make sense. It's going to be appropriate and consistent with the story so far. You should be banned from playing the trilogy until you finish the OG. It's very hard, Blue Jay. It's very hard. I think that you can enjoy the trilogy without playing the OG, but obviously people kind of disagree on that. All right, well, everyone, really appreciate everyone tuning in. See you guys tomorrow. I hope everyone has a good Friday night. I hope you enjoy the weekend ahead. I hope you and your loved ones are safe and everything is fine. I hope you are safe from the Final Fantasy VII discourse on Twitter, on X. This is the weekend. Let's just all, go and forget about whatever discourse there was and just go enjoy our real physical lives. Sometimes we spend too much time arguing in internet with strangers about stuff when we should be, living our real lives with the people who we love. And so I wish you guys a great night once again and a good weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.